Airplane insurance. This is one of the major factors that you will consider when you're looking to buy an airplane or if you're looking to build one. As I'm getting closer to finishing my aircraft, I have to think about the insurance costs. So when it comes to airplane insurance, you're actually not required to have one, but it does make good financial sense for you to buy one, especially if you're flying a much more expensive airplane. Now, what airplane insurance covers, it covers damages to the aircraft, damages to the passenger, if you were to get in an accident, maybe even crash landing, or damages to somebody else's property. So it would cover all of these things. But airplane insurance can get a little different when you're talking about the experimental category, which is the box that I'm in right now. So you can get insurance for your certified airplane, and you can also get insurance for your experimental airplane, aka the airplane that is built by you or by a factory somewhere. Now, the major difference in those certifications is that more than likely the insurance for the experimental airplane will be higher than the insurance for a certified airplane. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. One being the safety aspect. You have to understand that the insurance company is going to look at the fact that with a certified airplane, you have a safety record, so to speak. That airplane has been tested, it's gone through the process of being certified through the FAA, and they deemed it a safe airplane to sell to the public. Whereas with an experimental airplane, the insurance company will look at it as, well, this aircraft has not yet gone through all of the process of being certified, it hasn't been tested vigorously, and so on and so forth. So that will play a factor, and that's why the insurance for the experimental airplane may be higher. Now, I use the keyword may be higher because whether an aircraft is certified or is an experimental aircraft, the two major factors that insurance companies actually look at is the pilot themselves. So you have the pilot, and then you also have the value of the aircraft. So you have what's called the hull value. And when you put a certain number down, so let's assume that you're applying for insurance right now and they tell you, what is the hull value for this airplane? Say, for example, the one sitting behind me, let's say this aircraft, the value, you put it as $200,000. Then the insurance company is gonna quote you based on $200,000. Should in case something happens to this aircraft, maybe on landing, maybe a fire came through, whatever the case may be, the insurance company should be able to cough out 200 grand to you. Now, one way you can save money in that aspect is you don't always have to put the exact value of the airplane. So let's assume, again, we're using this example, rather than putting $200,000, you may put maybe 180, 150. It just depends on how much you can afford or how much you want to pay for that insurance. But obviously, best advice is to put the actual value of the aircraft. And then you also have you as the pilot. How safe are you? How many flight hours do you have? What are your ratings? So say, for example, someone who is a VFR pilot, you could have 500 hours, and someone who is an instrument pilot, you can have even less hours, but more than likely the instrument pilot will get a better rate than the VFR pilot. These are the things the insurance companies will look at to be able to give you a better quote. Now, one of the other factors that plays into this that you may not necessarily think about, more particularly with the experimental category, is that you need to have parts available. So an aircraft or model that has widely available parts for repairs or fixes, that aircraft may get a lower rate than, say, a brand new aircraft that the distribution or the parts are not readily available. So say, for example, you have a lot of international made airplanes that come into the US market or just around the world. If the parts for a particular aircraft has to be shipped or ordered from overseas, that also makes it a bit more expensive compared to parts that are available locally and that are available everywhere. So these are the things your insurance company will look at when they're giving you a quote. Now, some pilots will tell you the reason they're going for a certified aircraft instead of a experimental aircraft is because of the cost of insurance. Insurance quote and how much you get to pay will also heavily depend on who is giving you that quote. So say for example, with my aircraft, the Sling TSI, I've had pilots come up to me and ask questions, and they would say something like, well, when I try to get an insurance quote on this airplane, I was quoted $8,000 for the year premium. And $8,000 for the year is pretty high for any aircraft, except maybe you're flying a turboprop or a jet. For an aircraft that is sub $500,000, $8,000 for premium may be too high up there. And so I thought there's no way this airplane can be that expensive to insure. So what I did was I called directly the airplane factory, and then they connected me with the right company. And full disclosure, I got a quote for my plane at $3,200 for the year, which is more affordable. And so it will depend on the company that gives you the quote. If you go through maybe your traditional lender or a traditional company for certified airplanes, they may give you a much different quote than if you perhaps go with an insurance company that works directly with the airplane manufacturer or the airplane distributor. So you have to look at all these different angles to be able to save money. Now, another insurance that you may consider, more particularly with the experimental category, is insurance for your build. As many of you know, I am going through a build assist with this airplane, and there are two ways to this. Sometimes, or oftentimes, the build facility that you're having your airplane built will have their own insurance. So you would be automatically covered if that were the case. But if that's not the case, and I always encourage everyone to ask to make sure, if that's not the case, then you may want to consider getting your own insurance for the build assist, because God forbid, if anything happens, a fire comes through, a storm comes through, and your half-built airplane just got completely destroyed, the build facility may not be liable to pay you back for the damages. And this is why you want to have your own insurance. But I would definitely check with my build facility, make sure that they are covered for any damages that could happen. So say for example, with my aircraft, if something were to happen, I know the facility here is covered, and so I don't need to shop for an additional insurance for it. So these are the basic details you need to understand about airplane insurance. Again, it's not required, but it is highly, highly recommended that you get one. If you have any questions, be sure to leave in the comments below. Also, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and make sure you subscribe with the notification bell on. Thank you guys so much for watching. A great way to support the channel is by becoming a patron or by becoming an MVP on the website MojoGrip.net. Again, my name is Mike, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.